Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Just me right now. Bobby's in Arizona. I have not heard back from him yet. He has the link, so if he wakes up. The other day when I asked Bobby, hey, you gonna be cool with being on the show at 8 a.m. Eastern time? And he's like, yeah, it should be the same thing. I'm not saying Bobby doesn't understand time zones, but I don't think Bobby was really thinking that it's like 5 a.m. or whatever where he is. So we'll start with the morning ourselves. First of all, good morning, happy Friday, happy everybody's here. And then more importantly, if you're looking for an update on Charlotte the Stingray, there is none still. Charlotte the Stingray is continuing on her journey with parthenogenesis. She continues to be healthy and has a great appetite. She also initiates interactions with the divers and guests. Is seeing this video I'm looking at here. Other words, horseshit. It's been since February. We started doing this podcast in February, and we've done it 3 days a week. We tried to update you on Charlotte the Stingray every day, 3 days a week, as much as we can, and nothing. I don't think it's real. No one's pregnant for this long. I don't care if it's a stingray. I don't care if it's a seahorse. I don't care if it's Puerto Rican. It's not how this works. It's like you just say you're lying. You did it to make money, and you're fine. But I saw that on TikTok. What I also saw on TikTok yesterday was me get the most views I've ever gotten on a TikTok. And as a 49-year-old man, I'm quite proud. As a young boy, there wasn't even Chinese internet yet. And then the fact that I could get almost 17,000 views, which I know to a lot of people isn't viral with this old man, I was pretty psyched about it. Because early in the morning, I was texting my son around 8:30, 9 a.m. And I said, hey, because he was going to be heading off. He goes to school in near Boston, and they were going to go to a college fair at Fenway Park, and afterwards go to a baseball game. So I was just being a good dad and saying, hey, have a great time today. Good morning, Keish. How are you, sir? I'll let Bobby rest if he's rested. If he pops on, he pops on. Let the man rest. But Bobby, Bobby, I think he'll probably pop on as we're done, or maybe very soon. Who knows? But regardless, I hope the man has rest. I hope he has a great show this weekend, hanging out with Aaron in Phoenix. That's pretty cool for him. I mean, I don't like to blow him up on here, but that's awesome that Bobby's doing stuff like that. That's, if you know Bobby, he's worked his ass off to get to that point, to have to get past all the cretins he had to deal with and other moron stuff to set his own path and do things. So I'm proud of him for that. But like, so anyway, so my son was getting ready to go off to Boston for the day and go see a Red Sox game and go to Fenway Park for a job fair, a career fair for college. And I was like, oh, I just said, hey, buddy, have a great day. And he goes, thanks. Did you hear OJ died? So I don't know how you learned. I learned. My son told me OJ died, and I said, oh, I wonder who killed him. Like kidding, because no one knew how killed his wife and his wife's lover. And he said, my son said cancer. So I found that funny. So I went to Facebook and TikTok, whatever, and I just wrote, I can't wait to read the new book, If I Did It, by Cancer, which kind of like the OJ thing. And I was a little proud of my little stupid chuckle. But I'm sure everyone had that dumb thought, whatever. Threw it up on TikTok, and all of a sudden it started climbing and climbing and climbing. And for me, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. It's getting shared and posted. It got close to 300 likes. It got, almost 17,000 views. But last night, at one point, my girlfriend and I were going to see a show, Cirque du Soleil, which I didn't, by the way, I've never seen it before. It was amazing. But I also did not know there was midgets at it. And if you know me, it was a surprise on a surprise. First of all, going to a place where the hot chicks are flipping around and people are having a good time. Yeah, Dominic, Bobby is on that Arizona time. He'll probably have his own maybe if Bobby wants to do his own podcast at 8 a.m. Arizona time, that'd be cool too. But I go to this Cirque du Soleil thing, but then there's a midget. And there was not only a midget, there was a man midget and a lady midget, midget love in this show. And they were like foreign midgets and a big fat guy who chased them around, which is like almost like jackass stuff. So I was very happy with all that stuff. But during the intermission, I checked my TikTok again to see how it was going. And TikTok had taken down my post and said it was, there was complaints about it, whatever. I'm sure somebody looked at it and said, oh, he said the word cancer or something. And I was like, that stinks. And I was all pissed off. And then, so later that night when I got home, there's a thing where you could appeal it. And I'm like, I might as well appeal it, but I'll also put it up again. So what I did was I said, screw it. I'll do it again. But this time I'll take a video of the midget from Cirque du Soleil jumping on a seesaw thing, but above it I'll write the post about OJ's death again and just throw it in there. So I put that one up, and the video wasn't going to get anywhere near what the other thing got. But woke up this morning and TikTok had reinstated my post. So I don't know. It was probably just some big fatty lady who was like, the word cancer. I'm guessing that's what happens. The more viral something gets, it gets it not in front of the eyes of people you want it to see, but also in front of the eyes of people that are like, I need to shut that down because someone's doing something and I'm mad, man. I mean, if you're defending an OJ post, you're some kind of weirdo anyway. But I was around. Bobby wasn't. But Kish, I'm sure you definitely were. I don't know about some other guys, but I was, alive, and I was in college or high school actually when OJ became the OJ we all know, the OJ that you know murdered his wife. He's dead now. He murdered his wife. He murdered that other guy, the lover, Jew, waiter man. He murdered him. That's what he did. And he got in his car and he drove around. I remember watching in 1994. I was at a friend's house and I was watching the Knicks play the Spurs in the NBA championship, and they did the picture-in-picture thing. And in the corner was the Bronco driving. It was funny because my brother, who graduated with me the same year, he used his yearbook quote from OJ, but that was before OJ murdered people. OJ was just the Heisman Trophy winning Hall of Fame football player who also helped sell Hertz rent-a-car. By the way, anyone who's like, I can't believe OJ went from lovable to not lovable, you're right. The glove did not fit. And I've seen a great meme by Terry, by the way, that said the body bag also didn't fit, which I think is very funny. I hope that didn't. That was Toad just stuck out, just for him. But when people say like he was beloved, I didn't give a shit about OJ. I mean, like, I was too young to watch him play as a Bill or in USC. I was young to remember any of that. But, like, when he was in Naked Gun, I mean, it's just like when any celebrity's in a movie. Now, it was fine, but you weren't like, oh, my God, what a lovable character. It was just like, it's weird. It's kind of like when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is an Airplane. Like, it's funny for like a minute or two, but you're just like, why the fuck is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar an Airplane? Why the fuck is OJ in Naked Gun? Like, why? What are they doing? Like, it wasn't like great. I never once thought I better rent a car because OJ told me to. Like, I think OJ's best performance was killing his wife. I mean, if you think about all the things he did, he won a Heisman Trophy winner. But if I asked you to name 5 Heisman Trophy winners, you're only naming OJ because you're like, didn't he win a trophy before he murdered his wife? Like, you don't just remember him as that because you're just going to name other people. He's probably the most memorable probably the greatest athlete murderer of all time. I don't going to think anything different. I'm not sure. I have to really go through that, but I would think as athletes turn murderers go, I think he would be the Michael Jordan of that, which is weird. I choose another athlete. Michael Jordan would be the greatest, probably gambling and two-sport switch guy. But no, I guess Bo Jackson's the best two-sport guy. But yeah, Terry, I'm not sure if I wonder if they did that. When they do I think it would be good if in the casket, if it's an open casket, which it can't be. I can't imagine it. He's got little gloves on, but they don't fit. You know what I mean? Like just be half his hand. I think that'd be great. Or maybe holding a knife and like a note on the back going, haha, not this one. Or something. I don't know. I mean, rest in peace, whatever, but I'm more happy. I'm happy OJ didn't come back, but I'm happy my post did. You know what I mean? So who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it OJ Simpson for murdering his wife and kid? Not kid, he didn't kill his kids. I'm sorry. That's a different person. Yeah, he killed his wife's lover, some Jewish waiter guy or something. Is it AC Cowan for driving around and making that famous video? Like, if your friend says, hey man, I just murdered my wife, don't give him a ride. I don't know. I get it. You want to be a good friend, but I mean, I guess it was hard thing because you'd have to call a cab. There was no Uber. Now you could just get an Uber and be like, hey, I murdered my wife, and they'd be like, oh, I don't care, don't call me, just get in the Uber, we'll do an Uber share, you can get in and we can have another murderer get in with us or whatever. They wouldn't have cared. They'd probably bring the body in somewhere and bury it. As long as you just give the guy 5 stars, they wouldn't give a shit. Is it TikTok for taking down my thing? You know how many bad things are on TikTok? You know how many stupid? How about the people recently, the woman and the other influencer women that were on TikTok forever telling people how to raise their kids by treating them like garbage, and then they got arrested for it. They were on there. They had millions of views. I was happy to get 16,000 because I made a goofy joke about a guy who stinks dying of cancer, that making fun of a book he wrote that was awful. Fuck you, Asians. But anyway, so it's back up there. Or is it me complaining about this, or is it me for trying to do a podcast without Bobby? Is Bobby still sleeping in Arizona? Who's the piece of shit in the story? Piece of shit is not Kish. Good morning, sir. And it's not Dominic. How are you, my friend? And Terry, it's never you. But we now without Bobby here, and I don't know what you'll reference about weird towns you both know from that weird fucking Pennsylvania area. Speaking of Uber, so yesterday I was taking an Uber to my girlfriend's house, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Uber Share. Uber Share is a thing now in Uber that you can take a ride and you allow Uber to also pick someone else up that's on your way. And if they do that, you get a co-rider, if you will. You save money. It'll tell you like your price could be like let's say it's $25, but if you get Uber Share, it could be anywhere between like $23 and $18, depending on how far the ride is, this and that, whatever. And it doesn't really take you out of your way. It tries to do it somewhat in the way. So yesterday I hit that. I know I read it as a white man. I read things, and I looked at it and I said, okay, this is what I want. I want to save money because I'm cheap and poor. And as my Uber shows up, I can see two people already in the back seat. And you don't usually like it when they have like two people on a ride, so you can all fit together in the back. Yeah, Uber Scare is more like it, Terry. You are correct. Because I get in. First of all, the guy drives 3 houses down from I'm standing on my porch, waving as I see the guy pulling up, and he just drives like 3 houses down and just waits there as I have to now walk over to him, which is no big deal, whatever. And I go into the back and I see there's 2 like things. They didn't look like people. One looked like Gollum with tits, and another one was just some weird looking old prune guy. And then I go, so the guy, the front, the driver, the Nigerian guy, is like, get in the front, but he's got all this shit on the front. He's got like headphones and stuff. Like, I hate to be rude, but could you move your shit so I don't have like a plug in my butthole? So he gets that out of the way, and I sit down, and I'm crammed in the front seat because the guy in the back's got his like the whole thing pushed up, and I'm just chilling in the front seat of this car as this woman is just yelling in the background. I don't understand why you're here. I live on the other side of town. And the guy is broken English up front, so he can't really explain it. And then the other guy in the back, who I figured was with her, was like, it's Uber Share. You were sharing the ride. And she goes, I didn't hit that. I just hit the cheap one. Like she thought there was just options of what you want to pay. Like, she really, in her white trash mind, thought there was one level where you could just not pay a lot of money, but if you just felt like fucking paying more, you could just fucking pay more to be crammed in a car with like the world's worst version of like the melting pot Statue of Liberty, me, a Nigerian, a Gollum, and a prune, all in a car in a shitty little Civic. I've never seen a Nigerian man in a Civic. I've definitely seen a lot of white single moms in Civics. It's usually a baby seat in the back and a bunch of McDonald's cups on top of that baby seat. But what's not in that baby seat? Ever a baby. Anyway, so this guy just takes a U-turn and starts driving. And we're driving to like a different part of my town. And it's going way up these hills. And when it is like boondocksy type area. And at one point we're going up and up. And then the woman says, yeah, I live in the sticks. And the Nigerian guy just goes, your house is made of sticks? And I chuckled at that, but I guess everyone else was too retarded to understand the miscommunication there. And we just kept driving. And then when we got to the house, he goes, it's brick. And I laughed, but I don't even know if he was making a joke. Maybe he really thought she was like one of the 3 little pigs. She definitely had pig-like qualities. So she gets out, and now I realize the guy's not getting out. And I'm like, oh God, it was like 3 of them. Why is this man picking up so many Uber Share rides? You know what I mean? Why are you just collecting them all? Take one, whatever. But I'm like, he must be also on the way I'm going. So we drive and we go like 10 minutes, not really out of the way, kind of towards where we're going. So like, fine. And we get to this one area. I'm still about 20 minutes from my destination as he starts pulling up to drop off this other guy at this motor lodge in this shitty town in Connecticut called Naugatuck. If you know Naugatuck at all, Naugatuck smells like a yeast infection. It's just on Route 8, it just has like this factory of just pus. It's the worst smell ever. And that's what Naugatuck is. So we're getting to this motor lodge, which is, it looked like if you were going to make a movie of like someone's going to get a hooker, then kill hooker, then leave hooker, and no one cares about hooker. Like that's where this guy was going to be dropped off. And as we're pulling into the driveway, the Nigerian guy says, where are you going? And I told him the town I was going to. And he's like, oh, I can't go there. I'm going to have to leave you here. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm going to have to leave you here. I have to go pick up my kids. And the other guy's just getting out now, and I'm just like, you're gonna leave me in a this is not where I want to. I'm 20 minutes away from the beach. This is a motor lodge. It's a shitty town in Naugatuck. You can't just leave me here, dude. He goes, I have to go. I didn't know. I didn't know where we were going. And I guess on Uber, they don't tell the driver where they're going. It just says where you're picking them up. And then it tells you when you get, I don't fucking know. I don't drive and I don't care at this point. What I do care about is the fact that this guy was like, hey, I'm just going to leave you somewhere and not give a fuck, which is great. And I know it's like, it's the benefit, but also the bad thing about being a old single white male, where they're just like, well, no one's gonna harm you, and if they do, who gives a fuck? We can just leave you. No one would leave like a teenage girl or like a handicapped thing or anyone else or a precious midget. No one would leave those things anywhere in a motel. They would just leave me there and go, he looks like he should be there anyway. So I'm saying to the guy, hey, listen, I'm not paying for this freaking ride. He said, well, you're going to have to cancel that. I can't do that. I go, I don't care how it's happening. You're not doing it. And he's like, then he starts getting upset. He's like, you don't understand. I got to bring my kid. You don't understand. I'm like, stop raising your voice to me. You don't need to raise your voice to me. But you have to realize that you're an idiot. Like, you're rude. This is rude. You're just leaving me 20 minutes away. You drove me out of my, he's like, I can drive you back home. I'm like, I don't want to go home. And he's like, well, I have to be somewhere. And I'm like, well, guess who else has to be somewhere? The guy who ordered a goddamn Uber. You know what I mean? Yeah. AI doesn't care about your feelings. This was but it was Uber, not AI. It wasn't. This was a virtual ride. But so I was like, dude, and I got out of the car, and he's still yelling. Listen, I'm already out of your car. Just go away. I'll order another Uber, but I'm not paying for this. I'm gonna and he's like, well, he goes, are you gonna rate me? I'm like, yeah, you're getting 1 star because I can't give 0. Yeah, you're gonna get rated terrible. You did not. Your job was to drive me from A to B. You drove me to L. Why would you get a good rating? So when I just looked at him, I was like, just say you messed up. Just say you're wrong. Admit you're leaving me in a parking lot in a motor lodge in Naugatuck. He's like, I'm sorry, I have to go. I go, no, you say it. Freaking say it. So I made him say, I'm leaving you in a motor lodge parking lot in Naugatuck. I'm like, all right, now go away. And then I could see the clouds about to open up. It's about to rain. Thank goodness I got my ride before and got out of there. Who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it me for being upset about this? Listen, I'm taking an Uber ride with a bunch of foreign crazy people. I'm rolling the dice. I'm a grown up. I should have a car at this point. My life's a nightmare. Is it me? Is it a Nigerian guy for thinking it's okay just to leave me whatever and then actually worry about his rating of his job and what he does? You know, that's insane. Is it the old lady who made weird references about not understanding Uber and not knowing where she lived? Or just that old lady for existing? Is it motor lodges? Who the fuck is still staying at? I don't even know what is a motor. What is the difference between a motor lodge and a motel and a hotel and a Holiday Inn? I mean, a car can go to lodge, but it's definitely not a lodge. If you see a lodge, I think of like a woods, like a nice cabin thing. Like you're staying at the lodge with me and Chester are gonna go hunt blacks or whatever at the lodge, whatever they do. It's not a lot, and there's no motoring. It's not moving. There's barely cars there. It's just hookers, and they call it like the no tooth lodge. I would get that, like, or something's lodged in their asses at that place. Maybe that's what it is. Is it that? Is it Uber for offering Uber share? Yeah, Stormy. Hi, good morning, first of all. Second of all, yeah, I would think, yes, I'm happy you said that. I would think it is the Uber driver who's the piece of shit, seeing that it's their job to bring me somewhere. I ordered ride, they said, if you ordered a pizza and then you got a call from the pizza guy and he goes, your pizza's at another house 2 towns down, you can go get it if you want. You wouldn't be like, okay, thanks. I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles. No, it's not how that works at all. Is it Uber for also offering this Uber share thing? Because yes, it's a good idea in concept, but you're not hiring good employees. Anyone can have this job. You just need a car and then like a sense of like not like you can't have any self-worth. I think you have to be like, I'm just gonna let strangers in my car, and if they murder me, they murder me, and if I murder them, like, it's a weird concept that we're doing, that we're just letting people, because forever, what was it? Don't pick up hitchhikers, they're scary. But now, if they have $20, pick up anyone, anywhere, anytime. Like, we've gone from like being worried about things to just like whatever. We have body cams. Yeah, the body cam can still record the murder. Like you don't need any cams or anything like that. So who's the piece of shit? Stormy feels it's the Uber driver. I tend to agree with it's the Uber driver. Um, but Uber did hire this guy. I'll guarantee he won't be let go, even though I didn't overly Karen it up, but I definitely didn't just give him like 1 star and let it go. I did. There's several complaint things you can do on there, and one of them is like a safety thing. I'm like, yeah, he just left me in a freaking Motor Lodge park. He doesn't know the area. I'm not saying I was afraid for my safety or anything, but it's definitely not worth. It's not. It wasn't like a nice place to be. It wasn't like he dropped me off. Oh, look, this wonderful casino and spa, man. Like he just fucking left me in the street, like you would. Like he basically just like when people smoke a cigarette, they just toss it out the window and like that's someone else's problem. That's what it was. Didn't give a fuck, And also, he doesn't know my situation. I mean, a lot of people taking Ubers don't have a lot of money. What if they didn't have more money to do another ride? Now they do reimburse you, but it takes 2 or 3 days to get your money back. So you're spending money for one ride, then you have to spend the money for another ride. I would say it's his fault. Terry Nee said it's Obama. Is it Obama's fault, or is it just you're saying the driver was Obama? He looked more like Obama's wife, Big Mike. Like he had more of Big Mike looks, and a much darker complexion and bigger penis. So I would think maybe it's Michelle might have been driving, or one of the kids. I forget their names. Slappy and McNumbnuts Obama. I think that's their name. I forget the kids' names. Yeah, but yeah, I would tend to think that the piece of shit was that, or it could be me, for just the simple fact that I should at this point not be depending on the help of Nigerians, and I'm not sure if he's Nigerian, but it's the closest word I can say without getting in trouble. So yeah. Also looking at the comments here, yeah. Bobby, I'm sure, is taking sweet naps right now. Bobby will be the one to say, "Now, here, okay, am I the piece of shit in this?" This morning, when I set this all up, I had a feeling Bobby wasn't going to join, but I didn't want to text Bobby because I felt like if I text Bobby to say, "Hey, you jumping on?" and he is sleeping, it's 5 a.m. where it is there, I wake Bobby up. But if I don't text Bobby, I know Bobby enough to know that if I don't text Bobby, which I have not, later on I'll be like, "Why didn't you text me?" Kind of like, I've been in relationships like that, and I would rather go with the one where I'm like, I was at least thinking about your sleeping than thinking about like, why aren't you here for me? Shit, I don't know how to deal with that man sometimes. But either way, he'll be like, he'll say sorry and make me feel bad. I don't. I mean, I saved money, Terry. I saved money in the long haul. But right now I'm still being charged for 2 rides, and it's a good story. But at the end of the day, because it didn't happen to other people, I think other people will be, when you tell it to them, they're like, but you were fine. Yeah, okay, but let me leave you somewhere for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Not you personally, Terry. That's a weird thing to do. But if you were just dropped off somewhere and it's not like I didn't know where it was or I couldn't, like, there was things around. I mean, I guess I could have walked into a McDonald's or whatever. It just was the principle of just leaving. That shitty woman that was in the car, I bet you wouldn't have just left her anywhere. But she probably also wouldn't have got out of the car. I'm also someone that understood there was, by sitting in the car and fighting with this man, that's not doing anything for me. And because I use Uber, I still have to be polite, have a touch of couth, and not be an idiot and yell. So he gives me no star. I got a 4.99 rating. And the reason why I don't have a 5 is because back in the day when I was dating some kind of crazy person, they would use my Uber sometimes and then they would just, scream at people in the car, and I lost a little rating. So it wasn't even my fault. I'm a pretty princess when I get into that car. I'm the most wonderful. You don't need a radio when you've got me. It's just whatever I am entertainment. So no, I'm sure I'm a nightmare, but they're just like happy I'm not murdering them with my looks. But yeah, I guess I get a story out of it a little bit, but he wouldn't have done that to anybody else. But anyway, should I be texting, like right now, or should I text Bobby and be like, "Hey man, we started the podcast about about a half hour ago at this point, would you want to jump on?" I guess I could do that. So yeah, we'll just do that quickly and say, no, you know what? I'm not going to. I'm not. Why should I do that? I don't want to do a long podcast day. Oh, speaking of the podcast anyway. By the way, the piece of shit is me for not texting Bobby. Bobby later on will say I should have texted him, but we're fine with it. A nice fun little show. We'll do a short one today. speaking of the podcast, we've been doing it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, and we thank you guys all for being on here Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're gonna start doing a Tuesday and Thursday one. Most times they'll be live, but they will only be live and on the Patreon. So Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll do them there. I would love to have Stormy on another time. Believe me, if I already feel like I hurt Bobby's feelings by doing this without him. If I had Stormy on and Bobby was not on, he would be quite upset. He would love to be on a show with Stormy. But so I would normally do that in a heartbeat. And Stormy, sometime if you want to come on, we would love to have you on some morning. It would be a good time. Any of you guys that want to come on sometime, we would love to have you guys on and play along with us with the stupid POS stuff. But yeah, Bobby would be like, really? Yeah, the one time you have Stormy on, I'm not on. Yeah, he would. I'd have to hear that man's mouth. And I don't want to deal with that. I'm never gonna blame you, Stormy. He's his own man. Yeah, I want you here with Bobby. You two could be on, and I could go take a nap somewhere in Arizona. Maybe I'll get dropped off. Maybe I'll just have a Nigerian guy drop me off in Arizona while I'm supposed to be here. But then again, I'd probably sit in the car and not even realize it. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, it'll be live, the morning show Tuesdays and Thursdays on Patreon. Mostly it'll be live. If it's not live, some form of the show, maybe a recorded one, they'll come out a little bit later. Sometime in the morning time, will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so there'll be more content there. Plus, we're probably going to end up doing one more of the POS evening show Tuesdays at 8 p.m. live on YouTube, and then move it over to Patreon. But then going forward after that, that may also just be live to the Patreon and not on YouTube for free as well. Still doing the Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Just trying to move more content over there. People have been joining the Patreon, and I really appreciate all you guys supporting, but I want to give you more content and a reason for being there. So, like, it's not really fair that you're kind of at one point kind of getting the same content everyone else is when you're being awesome and helping us pay for things like streaming and things of that nature. So we appreciate you guys for doing that. As I'm sitting here chatting with you guys here, I just talked, this is all like things that are kind of flowing together. I was just talking about oh, wait a minute. Yes, Terry Nee, happy birthday. Every day is Terry Nee Day if you try hard enough. It's also my sister Nikki's birthday, so happy birthday to my sister Nikki. She turns 40 today, which makes me feel super old because I'm almost 15. I have 4 younger sisters and a younger brother, but the fact that any of them are that age is just like my kids being what their ages are, 21, or now my daughter's 22, so 22 and 18. Them being at that age is crazy to me, but I don't feel as old by saying that because, I've been part of their lives their whole lives. My sisters being, in and out when we get older and stuff, you just go, holy shit, they're the person that's supposed to be young is fucking 40. That's what makes me feel much older. I've been trying on and off for a while to get my license. I think I've told this story on here before many times, but years and years ago, when I was still drinking, I was leaving a comedy show, and the place I was performing at, the small little bar. The owners were awesome people. One of them actually passed away. They were great dudes. Younger guys. I used to do that show with my friend Frank Morgallo, who used to be on the podcast with me for a while. Him and Bobby battled so much that they couldn't be on the same show together. Well, not really. I think Bobby would have been fine with it. Frank just hated Bobby, but it was fine. So, in case it's not really his birthday. So anyway, so I used to do that show there, and the owners were so good to me that they used to feed me free drinks all freaking night long and just get me hammered. And I lived like 5 minutes, a 5-minute drive away. All I had to do was leave this driveway, go left, take another left, and I was home. And I don't remember leaving one day, but I left so hammered. I guess I went right, got on a highway, drove 20 minutes away, and I ended up in New Haven, Connecticut, which was like 20 minutes away from there, 15 minutes away or so. And I don't remember any of this, but I guess I got to where the New Haven Green is, the very busy, dangerous area, late at night, like 2 a.m. I did not pull off to the side of the road. I stopped my car in the middle of the road, apparently took the keys out of the car, and went to sleep. And I woke up in an ambulance and felt like asleep, woke up again in a hospital. And according to them, I had some kind of sleeping issue and passed out because they weren't sure what was going on. And because my keys were, I was told because my keys were out of the ignition, that therefore the law in Connecticut or whatever, with when it comes to that, is if the keys are out of the ignition, you don't have to check blood alcohol content because I wasn't driving. I was sleeping in the car. I was, blocking traffic. I was, whatever all the violations were. None of it was DUI related or drinking and driving related. So therefore, it started this whole thing with the DMV. It's like, well, since you were falling asleep in a car when you were driving, you may have some, some neurological issues. You may have another sort of issue with falling asleep at the wheel. Maybe you have seizures. It became all these things where they said you have to get all these forms filled out by doctors. And I went to the doctors, and they were like, well, we don't do forms like this. We're just a regular general practitioner. This would go on and off, me going back and forth, and I go back to the DMV, like, no, go here. Someone would suggest this, suggest that, and it became so frustrating that it's like times I would give up because nobody would just fill out this simple form, and all I kept saying to them was, listen, I'm admitting to you, I was just drunk. I'm telling you, I was drunk. I got like suspended. I went through the suspension. I paid all that off, and they're like, we can't give you your license. COVID happens, so I kind of just give up entirely for a while, even trying to get the license, start trying to get it again, another curveball, this and that, whatever. Every time I have a form where I want to do it, people would not give me the right answers. People are fucking around with me. And then recently, like about a month and a half ago, I tried it again with my doctors, and a nurse that was there heard my frustration. And I was like, listen, it's been hard to work, been hard to do whatever. And the nurse was like, I know our doctor won't do it. They just won't sign off any DMV forms. So I would try. I'm looked up some other names of doctors in the area that may do that. And usually when you hear that, you're like, it doesn't mean they're the best doctor. It's probably some kind of like, hood shady shit. But I'm like, I'm hood. I'm shady. I don't care. That's fine. So literally the doctor they suggested to me was their doctor's office is next door to my doctor's office. Like literally a fence separates the parking lot from the two. So I went there and it was a nightmare. I go in, some woman is just screaming. She's like, they were like, ID, please, to her. She's in line. She goes, you don't need ID. Look at my face. What do I need ID for? I don't need. She's like, what do you need ID? She goes, you think I'm percolating somebody else? And I cracked me up because she didn't know what word to use. It's an impersonating, but percolating somebody is my favorite. I want to coffee someone up all day. That'd be great. A Nigerian doctor would be great, Terry, because they're the ones that come over here. They've seen enough murder where they can fix everything over there. They got it. They're all like MacGyvers over there. So I'm the lady screaming that I go for my turn. I go in. My doctor comes in. I show her the form. She's new. She goes, all right, well, tell me what happened. And I gave her the quick story of everything I just kind of told you there. Then she looks at the form again. And she goes, are you lying? And I'm like, well, no. She goes, all right, well, you're not my patient. So if you're my patient, I could fill this out. It's okay. I left one relationship faster than I left a divorce. You know what I mean? Like, boom. Like, right, yeah, I'm with you now, lady. And she goes, okay, come back in a week. She filled out the forms. I seemed all set, but because I've gone through this a million times, I've gotten things kind of filled out and sent to the DMV. And the DMV goes, oh, we don't use that form anymore. I was not believing it no matter what. I was like, no matter what I said, it's not going to happen. So finally, I get this all done. I send in the forms, and the DMV is they make you wait a couple of days. I did this last Friday, and as we sit here, and I just looked at my phone, I got an email from the DMV where it said the restoration of your license is now complete. So now finally, I still have to go take the road test and everything, but finally, after about like 7 years, I'm actually going to be allowed to at least get a car, or at least drive. Getting the car is going to be a whole different thing because like I've started living my life as such a poor, crazy vagabond. I don't even know if I can pull off a car at this point, but baby steps. So I'm very happy now. This is a good day for me. So happy birthday, Terry Nee. Happy birthday, my sister. Happy finally can drive again. Me. So there you go. Once I go take the driving test, whatever. So, but who's the piece of shit in that story? Is it me for being such a schlub? By being such a person in life that's just, you want to talk about black cloud. Well, when I try to explain this to people forever, like this was my red flag to people when I was trying to date or whatever in life, it's like, they'd be like, I hit people with frying pans and I'm evil and I have 47 kids and all the AIDS and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't drive. They're like, ew, red flag. I'm like, all right. Is it me for like being the kind of person that you just leave in a motor lodge parking lot and have the ability to drive and all these things, and finally after 8 years, proud of the fact that I'm just doing mediocrity and have a thing that everybody always has. Um, it's is it me? Is it a DMV for going through all that? I didn't do it. Just let me drive. You're letting 90-year-olds drive. You're letting criminals drive. You're letting this Nigerian Uber driver drive. All these people, they have no problems driving. I know drunk people that actually have hit people with their car, and they got back driving sooner than I freaking did, and I didn't do anything. I fell asleep at the wheel. I was responsible to put the keys out. Is it them? Is it my other old doctors for just like putting me through all that? We can't be responsible for this or that, whatever. You hand out COVID shots, you don't even know what's in them. You get responsible for me driving, but you can just give people vaccines because you heard a guy ate bad soup one day? Fuck you. Who's the piece of shit in that story? I don't think it's me in that one. I think it's the DMV. Now, first of all, hello, Max. How are you, my friend? I hope the driving is good for you. I hope you have things percolating because you seem like you always will need caffeine when you're driving. Um, she wasn't a DMV lady. She was just a crackhead lady at the doctor's, but still. But I appreciate that she said percolator. Terry Nee thinks it's Uber. Terry also said, what did he say here? My wife is a court reporter. A defendant in the child support said he couldn't work because he's transportationally challenged. Is that what it's called? I know intellectually disabled is retard now. ID, which is like identification, a thing I don't have. So I know that. Oh, by the way, speaking of retarded and things of that nature, if you haven't checked it out, if you're not on the Patreon, go check out our last episode of the POS evenings that we did on Tuesday, where we start nominating Stuttering John Melendez into the Special Olympics Hall of Fame. And by the way, I've now taken the ability to, I'm not going to spoil the thing, but working on all my jokes for my album upcoming in August of the recording there. I've now been working on a joke about how I can nominate people into the Special Olympics Hall of Fame. Yeah, and how it's a much better way of doing revenge than ever getting angry or fighting with anyone. If you could just go up to a stranger, so you're at work and somebody pisses you off, all you have to get is like a couple keys, their information, and you can nominate anyone basically into the Florida Springfield Special Olympics Hall of Fame. The other ones, the other states, they're a little harder, you need more stuff. We basically use a couple nominees. Ian, I don't know if you guys know this. When you nominate someone into the Special Olympics Hall of Fame, it goes in front of a board of other retarded people, and then they select. So my thing is, if I'm going to put you into the Hall of Fame, I'm not only like being insulting by saying, haha, you're in the Special Olympics Hall of Fame. I like it that special needs people are now reading over your stuff and deciding if you're good enough to be in their group. That makes it fun for me. Yeah, Terry, that might be the next one. If the John thing doesn't work, maybe we go. I don't really know Ray. John and I have had a couple back and forths because I've been on Who Are These Podcasts. By the way, I will be on Who Are These Podcasts again on 420. So if you're someone who watches that show and need to be in the Discord live on that Saturday, I will be a guest again on Who Are These Podcasts, and I'm sure we'll talk about John and a lot of other fun things on there as well. I don't really know Ray. I know Ray's existence through watching all those other podcasts. You know what I mean? The what's the one he's on? Misery Loves Company. I liked Misery Loves Company when I was when they had Bob and then Chad. Like that was my favorite combination. I think that's most people's favorite combination of it all. Oh boy, and then we froze again there. But I enjoyed it the most when it was that. But to be honest with you, I'm very happy that driving is a thing again for me. What is this? Oh, I'm just getting a post from a friend. It's probably not good when I pause and read things when you guys can't see me as it is there. Let's see how we can do this. All right. Well, I do appreciate everybody sticking in today. Didn't get much time in. If this is gonna stay frozen, I don't think I'll do much longer on this because it's weird just to staring at me. You know what I mean? I can't even really see you guys' comments anymore. So, thank you guys for jumping on early this morning. We will be back on Monday, most hopefully with Bobby on there. Also, maybe later on today, I'll do a little bit longer one on the Patreon if I can get things going again here. The weather here is all crazy and nuts. A little rainy. Retard. That's always fun to read. So I guess my comments are working still a little bit more there. But appreciate all you guys who jumped on this morning for just the solo cast here. I'm very happy. I'm going to go be working on my license thing and all that nature. Make sure I don't get Ubered by anyone crazy. If you are in Connecticut at all, Sunday, I will be headlining at Comics Roadhouse at Mohegan Sun, headlining a show there with my friend Dan Brown's on the show and another funny comic, Ryan Brouth. So come check that out. Next Friday, I will also be at Twisted Vine. No, I'm sorry, Riverwalk Social in Derby, Connecticut. I'll be today from 2 to 7. I'll be on 95.9 The Fox, so you can listen there. You can stream it. Check out that. Head over to our Patreon. If you're here on the show now, please hit the like on the podcast episode. Also, subscribe to the channel as well. If you are in Phoenix, Arizona, find where Bobby's at. Go see Bobby and Aaron Berg. Bobby's hilarious. Aaron's great. You're going to have a great time. Go check that out. We thank all of you. Happy birthday, Terry, as always. Stormy, thank you for being on. Max, it's always great to see you. We got Kish, we got everybody, Dominic, all the stars. We appreciate all you guys. You have a great weekend. And if Bobby was here, he would say something like, "Don't finger a man who has no butthole. Find a man with 3 buttholes and use 4 fingers," or something like that. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your happy, slappy day.